Good morning, everybody. Welcome to today's Solutions Circle Up. My name is Jim Tanner. It's Monday, August 28th. It's noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. Welcome to all of you that are here with us live, and also to those of you that are watching the replay, because you couldn't be here with us live because you're on your way to an enrollment, on your way to a decision maker meeting, on your way back from an enrollment. Some of you with those early morning enrollments, so you know exactly what I'm talking about. We're so glad to have you here with us. And we're going to get right into our guest speaker this morning, make sure that he has plenty of time. But let me give a proper introduction as we're launching into this meeting here as we complete the month of August. We're looking forward into the month of September and into the fourth quarter, of course, this incredibly lucrative, massively successful period of the year for our business. You're about to hear from a gentleman who hasn't had success for a few weeks or a few months or a few quarters or even a few years. This is someone who's been succeeding for decades in our business, a legend in our Legal Shield community, someone that not only knows exactly how to build this business, to create value for their clients and the employees of those clients, but probably equally, if not more important, knows how to coach and teach and mentor others to have the same success that he's had. And I'm so grateful that we have you here today. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Jimmy Parrish, a Millionaire Club member many times over, top producer, again, historically, a record setter in our business. And sir, we're so grateful to have you here with us today. And we would love to give you the floor. We know that you have only limited time with us, so take it away, sir.
Thank you, Jim. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, you sound great.
Well, thanks to COVID, I'm now out and about, the COVID being over. And I know there's some places around the country it might be spiking up again, but I'm delighted to be here. Apologize for a little of the background noise, but this is my office away from my home office. Some of you may be old enough to remember the old show Cheers, where everybody knows your name. Well, this happens to be a local restaurant where all the servers know my name. They know the booth that I work out of. And when I get up in the morning, I come here and work for about 4 hours to manage my business. And I'm proud to say that I'm now into my 25th year as a Legal Shield associate. And this month, August 2023, looks like it will be my best month ever as far as number of sales and in premium. And I'll share a little with you of the background of that story and how this is possible. As Jim mentioned, I got started, and you know that. Thank you for that wonderful introduction, because he does such a great job balancing both solutions and networking as far as people that are in the business, and got one of the best, if not the best. If he's not, he's in the top 3 of the company that sees both sides of that and sees the value in that and makes sure that his team members see that. But a lot of those things and the accolades that he mentioned, you could come right down and say, well, our speaker must be pretty old because he's been involved for decades. And I will admit that I'm a couple of months shy of turning 71, but as my 7 grandchildren said, Papa, you're a young 70, and I will take that with them. But my story got started in May of 1999 when I was introduced to the company. It actually started the previous year. Many of you know my background. It's a minister. I was a member of the Southern Baptist congregation and served from 90 to 99 as an associate pastor of the largest Southern Baptist church in the state of Alabama, here in Birmingham, where I reside. And we had 7,000 members, and I was the minister of single adults, those that were not married. And so we had 1,200 of those. So it was like being pastor of a church within a church. I married people, counseled people, and really did all types of things. And then the pastor that had brought me on board was retiring. And so I looked at different aspects of what I was doing. And even at that age, I decided I wanted to retire and to do some other things. And the main reason was I was introduced to this business by a gentleman who's no longer with us. He died about 8 years ago, named Don Bryan. Don was very instrumental in my formative years growing up in Montgomery, Alabama in the 60s. But in 1998, interestingly enough, an Oklahoma non-denominational publication named me as a single adult minister of the year. And as a result of that, my hometown newspaper in Montgomery saw the press release, asked me to give the keynote address of the mayor's prayer breakfast, which was co-sponsored by the YMCA. And I was glad to do that in front of 500 people. My parents were there. Mr. Bill Chandler, who was an international Lions president, who was part of the Y, was there that day. He was also involved in my formative years. But I mentioned Mr. Don Bryan. gentleman that succeeded Don, Brian, came up to me and said, you don't know me, but I took Don's place and I'm going to see him this weekend. I said, well, give him my best. And Don reached out to me afterwards and told me that he had gotten involved with a company called Prepaid Legal Services. Well, I had heard about prepaid legal services. And back then in the 90s, I was reading things in emails and internet. A lot of that seemed to be new at that time with me. But a lot of people, it sounded good. And I had been in a couple of network marketing companies, Amway, Excel Telecommunications, neither of which did anything for me. But I liked the fact, number one, of the product that we offered. And the number two thing, once I talked to Don, was the fact that the provider, I'm probably an answer to a trivia question. I'm one of the few people in this 52-year history of Legal Shield that actually grew up with my provider law firm. Because when I was growing up in Montgomery, Alabama, and I was senior class president of my high school in 1970, the sophomore class president's name was James Anderson. His younger brother, Charlie Anderson, runs the Anderson Williams Farrell law firm for both Alabama and Mississippi. I knew them very well. And I said, look, if the Andersons involved, this has got to be good. So in May of 99, I was recruited. I wanted to get to a meeting in September in Dallas, and you had to be a director or above at that time to do that. So in 45 days, I recruited 45 people. So Jim, even though I'm primarily a solutions person, I have recruited in my days. And that was back when it was $249, not $49. And so when people say they can't recruit at 49, I say, you need to hear my story. But either way, I got to Dallas. I loved what I heard, and then the next month, later that same month, I went to Ada and got the group training. Back then, we didn't have trainings available online. We didn't have trainers that trained around the country. But I took 7 of my team members to Ada. We did the group school for 2 days, the small business training, the CDL training. I remember flying back on Thursday, late September of that year, and saying, these people on this plane are going to make me rich. Little did I realize how I did not know anything. And I got back and very few people did anything, and neither did I, because when I retired from local church ministry, I opened my own Christian travel company, and I've done a lot of travel around the world. I've been to the Holy Land 13 times, been to Hawaii 18 times, Europe 13 times. I've traveled a lot of places, taking a lot of church groups with me. But in 9/11, 2001, 9/11 hit, and my business shut down. And so I was not able to do this, what I thought I was going to do. And I reached back out to Don. So after selling only 37 memberships in my first 37 months of the business, I reached out and said, I need to put more time into this prepaid legal thing. And so I started working primarily in the area of solutions. And just to kind of show what has been done, 37 memberships in 37 months. That was, when I basically went full time, or too much, I was still very, very, very part-time at that point, as you can see in 2001. But fast forward to 2023, and in the last 22 years, have done almost 21,000 additional memberships once I got focused in the solution space. It didn't come easy. I started working. I was traveling a lot. I was doing a lot of work, driving 40,000 miles a year on my car. I focused on trying to get to the school market. That seemed to be something that I gravitated toward. And I was struggling with it, opening up a few groups because I couldn't move beyond the part of not being a minister. And Don, who used to be the chief of staff of the governor's office for Alabama, he said, Jimmy, I know everybody in the state, and I have 400 people on my team. You do the best presentation of anybody on my team. I can get us in the doors. If you can do the presentation, we're going to make a lot of money. And I said, well, that sounds good, Don, but I just don't feel comfortable yet because I feel like I need to be a minister. That's what I was called to do. He said, well, I can't help you with that, but I can help you with the other. And so a few years later, 2005, I was at the convention. I didn't go to my first convention until 2003, and still very part-time at that point. And but I did get started in 2003, really working hard, realized in 2004 that I was seriously getting to the point of getting the $100,000 ring. And I did earn that in September of 2004 because my wife was going to go with me to Las Vegas. And so I got my $100,000 ring at that point. The following year, I was actively working the business. And at that time, we recognized a trainer of the year, not by the ladies of justice as we do now, but corporate made that selection based on how many groups you opened, how many people you trained, how many people you got out into the field, writing business. It was not a subjective popularity contest, but it was based on certain criteria that had to be met. And I remember standing on that stage. Those that go back to 2005, it was like the old Miss America pageant where you walk across and identify yourself and your state, and you'd go stand on some risers there in the Cox Convention Center in Oklahoma City. And that particular year, they called my name as the trainer of the year. And I'm standing around people that I felt like I wanted to grow up in this business to be like, because I didn't realize really what I was doing. I just tried to do what I was told to do and felt like I was doing the right thing. And obviously corporate saw that. And I remember going up on that stage and realizing that this was the time that I had been picked to do what I do, because many of you that remember back then were around for the Stonecyphers may have remembered the time when the Stonecyphers went through something that, as a grandfather and as a father, to me is unfathomable. I can't even talk about it without getting emotional. But their son was a pilot for the company, been to visit him for the weekend, took off, plane never cleared Ada airspace, crashed. Their son, their daughter-in-law, their only grandchild were killed. And I remember Mr. Stonecipher talking to us, telling, because everybody wanted to come to Ada for the funeral. This was on a Sunday afternoon. Funeral was on Wednesday. And I remember him telling us that the leaders in the field, he said, don't come. I know you're praying for us. I know you're thinking about us. But I remember him telling us when he got up that morning to go to the funeral, and he said, he said, I couldn't even put one foot in front of the other. I didn't even know what to do. I didn't want to get dressed. I didn't want to get out of bed. But he looked out the window there, his home there in Oklahoma, and he said God spoke to him in a very audible voice and said, Harlan, do on this earth what you were put here to do. And he got more focused than ever and did an amazing job of continuing to lead that company until health reasons caused him to have to sell that when he did to Mid-Ocean Partners, and then now to our current owners. But I remember, do on this earth what you put to do. And that's what I realized I needed to do. It was not about what I could do in my local church. It was what I could do to make a difference in people's lives throughout this country with this great product. And so because of that particular commitment and working on with Ken Moore, many of you remember Ken Moore, the More Success team, passed away a few years ago. Wonderful man, used to call me every 2 weeks, Jim, just to tell me a corny joke. And I remember those jokes, remember his calls, but he was said, I don't have anything to tell you. I just want to tell you I love you and I appreciate you. But I remember he told people back in 2006, Jimmy Parrish will travel. Because remember, I owned a travel company and I was able to get Marriott marquee rates in Manhattan 10 years ago for $49 a night, even to the front desk personnel saying, how did you get this rate? Like I'd done something illegal, but I've had travel connections and I have discounts. And because of that, I've been able to travel the length and breadth of this great country. I've enrolled in 40 or trained in 44 of our 50 states, from Hawaii to Florida, from California to Maine. I mean, I've been there and I've enrolled and I've trained and I've had an opportunity to work with many of you or your team members or other folks around the country. And it's been able to allow me to diversify doing that. But when he told me to do that, I started traveling and helping different people. And I remember Tony Petrell used to tell me years ago, he said, Jimmy, you need to get the URL, jimmywilltravel.com, and just to put it out to people. But I was loving it. I would go out, get on an airplane, go and help people do it, get 50% of that and fly home. And it was great. And I enjoyed doing all of that. And I continued to work with my local schools. And I remember getting the call as a group trainer in 2010. It's a Friday the 13th. Remember that specifically, of August of 2010, that I'd been the 134th member of the Millionaire Club. And I'll never forget that call. You don't forget those kind of experiences. And I remember on February 6th, getting ready to go and do an advanced product training in 2016 that I had got the $250,000 ring. And, I'll never forget that call. And I remember things were going pretty well then. Those things had happened 2 weeks before that $250,000 ring. I'd been in a More Success team retreat and was given the Harlan Stonecipher Award presented by Shirley Stonecipher himself. And when she sat on the stage, if Harlan were here, there's no one else he would rather have win this award than Jimmy Parrish. I felt like, God, you just take me on to heaven right now. It's not going to get any better than this. That's as good as it gets. And so we were flying high. And the next month, May of 2016, my wife, with no history at all in her family, found out she had stage 3C ovarian cancer. And so for the last 7 years, we've been going through a pilgrimage, quarterly visits to MD Anderson Hospital in Houston, which is, about an hour and a half to 2 hour flight. We go down every 3 months for that. Have done so over the last 7 years. And as a result of that, I knew I had to rebuild my business, remake my business. I was not going to be able to travel as much. I needed to be home with her as much as I could to assist. And so I started making some changes, and I started recruiting. I started getting some brokers. I started getting some agents on board, one of which, even for the first 6 months of last year, the top producing associate in all of my 6 South Central states for which I serve as regional trainer, Alabama, Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Oklahoma, and Texas, was one of the agents that I brought on board. And I also just started sharing a lot of revenue. I realized I could not go to do all the enrollments I had done. And I now had between 250 and 275 groups. And so instead of trying to do them myself, I started leveraging. And I found out, Jim and his team members here, you don't just leverage in networking, you can also leverage in solutions. I said at the outset of this call, this month will turn out to be the best month ever in Legal Shield for me, because if a few things hit this week, I will not be platinum. I will not be double platinum. I will be triple platinum on personal production for this month. I've never been that before, been double platinum. But that's 7,000 premium dollars in one 31-day cycle. And I want to tell you, I don't know how many dozens of enrollments it's taken to get to that point. You know how many I've done myself? One. I field trained a lady that we've been working on a group for a private school, and it happened to be during the open enrollment season. The rest of the time, this is where I am. I'm managing my business. I'm serving as an air traffic controller to make sure that everybody's going out. I've got 15 to 20 worksite enrollers that go around for me. Are some on my team? Yes. Are some not on my team? Yes, because I want to get someone that's going to go in there and be invited back. And so by doing all these things and upgrading my groups last year, we had some wonderful things that have happened as a result. Number one, was able to walk across the stage in Charlotte a few months ago with a $300,000 ring, and was so honored to be able to do that and to be where in that level of the company. Looking back and talking to the folks in recognitions, there's not 35 people active in the business today that have got that ring level or higher. And the number in solutions is less than 10, because it's just not something. You see a lot of platinums there maybe, but you don't see a lot of solutions people that way. But then also getting the call the same month, not to get a call, by going to MD Anderson at that same time and hearing that my wife was declared cancer-free after 7+ years of going through this. So we praise God for that. We're thankful for that. And just a couple of things I wanted to touch base on, just some points to leave you with. And then be glad to share a little bit about just some field training things. And sorry, I've got to be off, at the bottom of the hour. I've got another appointment I was going to. But one thing I wanted to mention is your own efforts can take you so far, but you need a team to take you to your final destination. So I can say a lot about what I've been able to do in personal production, but until I was willing to step back and let other people work my groups, there's no way I could have been to as many groups as I've been able to do this month and hit the levels that I've hit. But by going out and having them all my groups, I open the groups, so they're my groups. I get 50%. I'll pay expenses. I'll pay for the food and stuff like that. They'll pay to get there. But, it's like being a landlord of a large apartment complex and collecting rent off of every one of my groups. That's true leverage and solutions. Number two, success is a destination. The doing is often more important than the outcome. And I'm a big college football fan, and I'm a season ticket holder, graduate of the University of Alabama. And, I don't want to get into college football, but I'm excited about this coming Saturday and starting a new season, and love seeing Nick Saban and what he's done. And he preaches the process. He teaches his players, don't look at the final score, just continue playing, and putting out every play. I didn't think about being triple platinum at the end of this month when I got started August 1st. I wasn't thinking about a $300,000 ring when I was getting other people to work my groups and starting to upgrade my groups. I was just trying to do what I was taught to do and going through the process every hour, every day, every week, every month. Number three, my secret sauce is obedience. I try to make, and again, not trying to preach, but I try to make spirit-led decisions so that my walk with Christ as a husband, as a father, as a papa, as a team member, as an associate, is something that when I lay down my head at night in bed, I know that I've done things with integrity. And I've known that it's something that people call me, say my word is my bond. To me, that's what's valuable. It's being able to take what was inscripted in our ring. Now, this is a new ring. This is my new $300,000 ring. But the old rings, the ones I got back in '04, it said making a living while making a difference. I've been able to make a difference in people's lives all over this country because of the call that I've got to do this business. And it truly is a calling. A lot of people my age and went to my high school reunion. As I said, I was a class president. They're all retired. I kept retired from this. I love it too much. I love what I do. I love helping people, and it's not work for me. We've been able to be blessed to be debt free, to give a lot to charity. And so I'll leave with one final saying, and that is success in Legal Shield is inevitable if you do the right things long enough. Success in Legal Shield is inevitable if you do the right things long enough. So if you're not where you ought to be, you may not have been it long enough, but otherwise, just keep doing the process, keep doing the things, whether it's solutions or networking, and good things will happen too. Jim, I'll turn it back over to you.
Mr. Parrish, thank you so much. I love that this group has had the opportunity to hear of your journey, because we can't tell the Legal Shield story without telling your story, right? I mean, you're just so much a part of everything, and as those spirits haunt the halls of One Prepaid Way, it's you and the people that came before us that paved the ground that we're all walking and, quite frankly, running on right now. And what I'm going to do, because we have a lot of folks here, is I'm just going to ask one question on behalf of everyone. A question we've been asking, we've been hearing from people that are field trainers for the last several weeks. Well, now you obviously are somebody, you're not just a field trainer, although you are an incredible field trainer, but you oversee the whole operation in your region. What is it? You've got a whole bunch of people here and on replay. They're going to go to their first certification this Wednesday with Mike Riches. They're going to get certified, and they're going to get excited about being out there with a field trainer. What do you see is that slight edge for someone who comes to the field trainer prepared to have the best results with that relationship versus folks who just really don't even know what the expectation should be when they show up for field training work? Maybe you could touch on that a little bit.
Yeah, great question, Jim. And yeah, it's very important. I have 35 field trainers in my 6 states. And the thing that we talk to them about is, yes, every time someone goes to a certification, I get a list of the attendees, and we outsource those based on where they are geographically. We've got a few field trainers that like to do Zooms. And so if they don't mind you where they're located, we'll assign some, several states away. But one of the things that we try to tell people is, as I said in a training earlier this year, if your ship has not yet sailed in, swim out to it. Don't just wait for somebody to assign something to you. If you're a field trainer, you reach out. You say, look, who can I work with? Let me get a list of attendees. Because we found by doing that, there are some people that are going to the trainings and they'll sit back and they won't say they want someone to field train, but they're not going to call anybody. But if a field trainer reached out to them and said, hey, Mr. Tanner, I appreciate you attending the EBCT this past week, and just want to let you know that I was a field trainer in your market. Didn't know if there were some things that I could do to help you get your first group open. And, if you open your first group with a minimum of $150 in premium, and it's less than 90 days from attending the certification, you'll get a $250 group opener bonus. But if you work with a certified field trainer, such as myself or someone else in the market, the company will double that bonus to $500, and that's over and above commissions. And then one of the things that I want to do is to make sure that I set apart things, what is expected of me as the field trainer. I will do this for you if you say you want to work with me. And if you're going to be a trainee or someone that I will work with to help open a group, this is what I'm expecting from you. Because we need to have expectations. People need to be in agreement that instead of going, I want you to work with me, and then they go dark. They get on the missing persons list. They never return calls. They never reply to emails, because we have to work with a willing. So I think it's very important for those particular things, Jim, that if you're a field trainer or someone that wants to be field trained, be proactive. Don't just sit back and wait. Reach out. Go to the people that need help. And if you need help, reach out to the field trainers. There are always people like me in my region. In the Northeast, there's Marty Galano. Southeast, Alistair Edwards. Midwest, Rachel Lawton. Northwest, Deanne DeBell. And in the Southwest, the Western states, Brenda Anderson. All of us will be glad to help, regardless of where or your team members are located.
Mr. Parrish, thank you so much. We're going to let you get back to the rest of your day. We are so grateful to have you here with us for the Circle Up, and we'll see you soon when we're all back together under one roof again. And
That's great. Thank you, folks. Have a blessed week. Good luck. Take care. Good close out to the month.
Thank you very much, Mr. Parrish. So we're going to let Mr. Parrish get back to his life and his work that he's got in front of him. But you heard him talk about recruiting too, right? Like, we don't usually talk about recruiting here on Mondays on the Circle Up because we're so focused on opening groups, serving our clients, enrolling the employees, opening small business accounts. So, but today, especially since he kind of opened that door and talked about the leverage and the power of working with a team, it calls back to the event that we had this past Saturday, the Business Solutions Builders Boot Camp, where we talked about, for 2 hours, he talked about how I built my personal business with professionals that go out there and open accounts. And you know, we went through the numbers and you know, almost 700 group accounts, clients across this map have come from the production from people in my organization, from 94 professional associates opening those accounts. And that number is going to keep changing as more people open their first account and continue to open more accounts as well. But I asked Jim Fletcher, Jim, I don't know if you're still somewhere where you can unmute and share today, but I asked him if he could just jump in and share his thoughts from the event on Saturday. I see you're unmuting yourself, so I think it's safe. And we'd love to hear your thoughts, what the takeaways you had, and then anybody else that was also part of that after Jim Fletcher, if you'd like to weigh in too. But Mr. Fletcher, we'd love to have you just share some thoughts from the Saturday, Super Saturday. Take it away, sir.
Sure. Thanks, Jim. So first of all, I just want to say I haven't been able to go to a Super Saturday the last, few months because of, my kids playing sports every single weekend. But I will say this weekend, every time I go to a Super Saturday, it gets me fired up. This training I've heard Jim has done with me before, so it wasn't completely new for me. But I will say, like Jim has always told me, spaced repetition, we've heard other people say, is one of the best things you can do for your business. Because there were things I forgot about and things that Jim mentioned that got me thinking again and fired up to recruiting professionals, into business solutions. So I just a couple of points that, like Jim had said in the training, that in order, this business solutions attracts serious professional people, but in order to attract those people, we need to be that ourselves. And the types of people that, Jim was mentioning to target to try and recruit into this business, life insurance agents are up there at the top, real estate agents, business owners, sales pros, outside media sales, solo sales. I'm sure there's a few I missed, but, as I'm going through this training, I'm a realtor myself, and business in Massachusetts is pretty slow, as I'm sure it is in the rest of the country as well, with interest rates climbing up. So at first I was thinking about, I've always been trying to recruit insurance agents, but why not try to recruit somebody in my own business that can relate to me and what's going on? So, one other point, and then I'll be done, was, Jim said about 20% of the people who see our opportunity sign on, but those percentages only work with large numbers. So got to get a lot of people at the top of the funnel to get that 20% to come out. So, it was a great training. It's got me really fired up. I spent the morning contacting and trying to expose other realtors to this business, and I'm very excited about what's to come.
Thank you very much, Mr. Fletcher. I appreciate it. I'm glad you could be there with us. And that's the power of when we do the hybrid events too, right? We've had folks, I was in Marlborough, Massachusetts, the Boston suburbs, for that event. For those, some were in person, but a lot of folks got to participate in that event from across the map. We had people in Canada. Jimmy, Ty, you're in Houston, right? I believe, and so many others as well. I'm just looking to see if anybody else wanted to unmute and share their thoughts about that Super Saturday event. I'm not seeing any unmute, so I think that we'll just leave it at that. I'm going to move into the Oh, Jimmy, Jimmy. Oh, you know why? Because I got it so you can't unmute. Hang on, Jimmy, 1 second. That's my fault. Okay, you should be able to unmute yourself now.
Okay, I just want to say thank you so much for doing that event, and also, putting emphasis on building a solutions team, because, as you mentioned, that is a topic that's not spoken of very much on the solutions side of the business, even though, we're starting to see more of that, because, that has always been my focus. learning how to build a solutions team, because I know that there's only so much any one of us can do by ourselves. Yeah, it's all in the language, and I'm glad you sent it to the recording because I can go back and polish up some of the things I learned on Saturday, and hopefully, move forward from there.
Wonderful. And Jimmy, if an email went out yesterday to the registrants of that event.
Yes, I saw that.
Okay, perfect. There you go. And Sonora Danzler, right? Well, I believe Sonora had her hand up.
Yes, yes. Hello, everybody. Great morning, great morning. Yes, the Super Saturday. I'm in Colorado Springs, Colorado, but that's okay. I love that I was able to attend that Super Saturday located on the East Coast. There was the time difference, but guess what? Did not matter. And Mr. Tanner definitely brought it, and it was on fire. As a matter of fact, I did re-listen to it again because I was just so excited about it. And it was just amazing. So he did touch on a lot of key factors in regards to the business solutions area, as well as recruiting to that sector as well. But, if you're on right now and you're like, well, I'm not sure, or, having some doubt or anything like that, just like Mr. Parrish just talked about, you just want to stay consistent in what it is that you're doing and be disciplined about it. Because definitely the results will come. It's not going to come overnight. I'm just going to definitely share that with you. It will not come overnight, but you just have to be diligent and continue to focus on, sharing that information with the business owners, sharing that information with individuals that are interested in the business solution space, with offering our services to our small businesses, as well as with their employees, and definitely use a field trainer. You just heard Mr. Parrish tell you that, he's even willing to work with you as well. So those are definitely some great things that you need to take into consideration. And again, the training that Mr. Tanner did this weekend was definitely on fire. He keyed in so many great nuggets as well during that training. So definitely make sure that you are at the next Super Saturday. I believe is in, we're going to get that out. I just can't remember right now where it's going on, but there's just so many coming up right now. And also get your teams involved as well too for those live events. Hashtags, you have got to be in the room. Thanks again, Mr. Tanner, for allowing me to share quickly, and I'll turn it back to you.
Thank you very much. And I was just about to share my screen, but I don't want to jump. Is there anybody else that'd like to share? Just looking for unmutes. Thank you, Sarah, very much. All right, let me share my screen. You can tell me if you can't see this. Let's see. I think we're going to be good there. Okay, now I got to get everything off the screen so I can see it. All right, so let's just talk about what's coming up. Have your screenshot button finger ready, or take some notes on this. So let's talk about incentives. As we wrap up today, we're wrapping up the month. I'm going to talk about incentives and events. So first of all, incentives. You heard Mr. Parrish talk about it. You're getting $500 when you open your first group. Now, you can go it alone, and you can get a $250 cash bonus. But let's be honest. If you're watching this today, with the exception of you're currently an Aflac agent, a Colonial Life agent, you already know how to open groups, do decision maker meetings, enroll the employees, create the environment, have a winning setup, and leave nothing to chance, then yeah, go ahead and go do it by yourself. I still wouldn't, but I could see why you might. But for the rest of us, take advantage of leveraging years, and in many cases, a decade plus of experience of a field trainer, someone that earns a six-figure income doing the thing that you're starting out to do, and take them with you and earn a $500 bonus. I want to remind everybody about our Montego Bay, Jamaica summer getaway incentives on the solutions side. Now, in other environments, we talk about how to qualify for the trip on the individual sales and recruiting side. But here's how you qualify for the trip. You need $5,000 in solutions premium total during the incentive period. So what's the incentive period? It's July 1st through March 31st. And a total of only $5,000 in group settings. So that's what that is, that solutions premium. The people ranked 1 through 5 for total premium written during that period of time will also get VIP early arrival and a $2,000 cash bonus. You can see on the screen Rank 6 through 10, it's a $1,500 bonus. 11 through 15, $1,000 cash bonus. And the trip for two, of course, goes to all of the top 50. All other eligible associates will be entered into a drawing. We're going to draw for 20 more trips for two. All right. And so let's get into this. Ready? This is the Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald bonuses that are available here this year. You can earn $6,000 as an Emerald in the first place ranking. All of this is in your back office. And for the sake of time, I just want to keep this in front of your faces. I don't necessarily want to train on how you qualify for every one of these dollars. But some of you are saying, listen, I need to earn a six-figure income in the next 12 months. I need to earn a multiple six-figure income in the next 12 months. How you do anything is how you do everything. That's why I tell you, even the $100 fast start bonus that you have on the table when you're brand new in your first 20 days, pluck that $100 so that you can start in motion the thing, the behavior, the activity, the mindset, the philosophy that if the company puts money on the table, I'm putting it in my pocket. So as a Ruby, $2,000, as a Sapphire, $4,000, as an Emerald, $6,000. And how about our 10-level cash bonus program? For the year 2023, you can earn anywhere from $250 as a bonus up to $100,000 in additional income. Now, I keep saying this. I hope you're not tired of hearing it. I got to drive this home, everybody. In 2022, this came out for the first time. It was really the transition, COVID, lockdowns, uncertainty versus certainty across the entire map. All of that was still going on in big ways. And yet many people earned almost the entire 10 levels of bonus in that environment. And I remember saying, oh, just please, if they will just roll this through for another year, I know that we'll have people take advantage of the whole thing. And they did it. They announced on January 1st that we were doing it again. And I don't know if they're going to announce on January 1st that we're doing it again. And some of you are saying, well, I wish I got started on this on January 1st so that I could be here for the whole year and earn the whole $100,000. The fourth quarter is going to be massive. The majority of the money earned is going to be earned in the fourth quarter. That's why that's why it's August and we're talking about October. That's why it's August and we're getting you certified now for the fourth quarter, because it's going to be massive. But what if you only picked up $1,000 or $5,000 or $10,000 or $17,000 extra dollars? That's, in my opinion, that's like getting paid twice on the same activity. You're earning the advance commission for doing the business, and then the company's coming along behind that and paying you cash bonuses for that activity as well. Now, the Sapphire and Emerald Elite programs, which I don't talk about a lot, but I talked about during the Super Saturday, so I wanted to bring those slides into here. Only $3,500 in personal business solutions premium is required to qualify for Sapphire Elite, which means that you get a dedicated Sapphire support line at the home office. So when you're out in the field and you need something, you've got a direct line to our home office staff as a Sapphire where they're going to pick up the phone and help you. You're getting executive director level commissions on all groups of 200 plus employees, regardless of if you were qualified for executive director that month or not. And then there's other incentives. And as some of you that are Sapphire Elite from last year know, those incentives are communicated directly to you so that you can pick up additional bonus dollars. So that's Sapphire, $3,500 in personal solutions business. Push a little harder. $8,000 for the whole year, just $8,000 in solutions premium between January and December. You get a dedicated home office Emerald Elite account manager. That's concierge level support. All your administrative needs for you and all of your accounts handled by your concierge. You have enrollment communication leaders. You have concierge level for that. You have platinum level commissions on all groups of 200 plus employees, even if you haven't qualified for platinum with your production. Exclusive access to advanced trainings for Emerald Elites. Plus there's private experiences at all of our live events. It's worth pushing. It's worth, first of all, you got to know what the incentives are so you can push a little, stretch a little to get them. But you also need to know why it's important and pick those up. And this Wednesday, August 30th. So this is the last chance for at least the next 2 weeks. I do not have the date for the next certification, but Mike Riches and I are hitting the road. So I don't know when he's going to do another one of these. So you have to register, pre-register. By the way, all of our new associates get to take this class for free. If you're in your first 60 days, this certification is always free for you. That's how we've been doing it the last several years. But all associates, regardless of your tenure with the company, can take this class on Wednesday for $0, where you would normally have a retake fee. So Mike Riches is going to spend 4 hours with you. This is a gentleman that earns $300,000 plus a year in his business, has earned millions of dollars, has personally signed up over 8,000 customers in Business Solutions for these memberships. He is our VP of sales training. He is going to walk you through everything you need to know to get successful in this business, and that's your certification class. And then being certified makes you eligible to work with a field trainer, as Mr. Jimmy Parrish was talking about. So put the time aside, 11 to 3:30 Central this Wednesday. Get pre-registered. You can go to LegalShowCalendar.com to get the link to the registration. And if you get stuck, just call the home office. Someone will put it in the chat, 580-436-7424. But don't miss this class. Matter of fact, if this doesn't work for you, move some stuff around. I'm serious about this. We're coming into the fourth quarter. It's time to start opening these groups if you haven't been. It's time to start harvesting all of this great stuff that's all around us. Now is the time. Now is the moment. Now, all right, so take a screenshot of that, and I'm going to switch. I'm going to talk about these 2 in-person events, travel-in events that are coming up, which is, and I'll be at both of these. I'd love to see you there. Friday, that's this Friday coming, September 1st. That's in Baltimore at the Hilton. Darnell Self, Melissa Peters, Marty Gallant, Mandy Simmons, David Spangler, Ted Vitalo, Mike Riches. I'll be there. There's going to be a whole bunch of us there for this big super regional event from 9 to 3. We're going to talk about this. I'm going to come to me. I'll introduce you to the people that I just listed. I'll make sure that you have the experience of a lifetime. Same thing in Chicago. I think Jimmy Toss said he's going to be in Chicago with me. I know Adam Thompson, who's not on the list as a speaker, but he just told me today he's coming to Chicago. So we got Rachel Lawton and Mel Roberson and Bill Walker and Tanya Mack and Ted Vitalo and Mike Riches, and I'll be there. That's on Friday. Nope, that's not right. It's Thursday, September 7th. September 7th is correct. My slide is wrong because that's a Thursday, not a Friday. So Friday, September 1st, Thursday, September 7th. I'll fix that. Sorry about that. So I hope you have those. Come be a part of one of those if you can be. Also, if you're recruiting into this business solution space, recruit those people now and then send them to hang out with us. This is not an event where people go and learn about the opportunity there. That's not what this is. This is training for our associates. So let's recruit those folks now and then bring them to Chicago and Baltimore. Now, what Sonora Danza was talking about is September 9th, 12 to 3. That's the next time that I will be hosting a Super Saturday live in Portland, Maine. You are absolutely welcome and encouraged to come spend the day with us in Portland, Maine. It's going to be a beautiful autumn day in New England. We'd love to have you there with us, but this will be a hybrid event. It'll be available over Zoom as well. To register for this event, it's 2023supersaturday.com. So I see that we're closing out on time. One last announcement, which is that next Monday is Labor Day. There'll be no Circle Up. So we're not going to move it to Tuesday. Listen carefully. We're not going to move it because that's not what we're going to be able to do. We're going to skip the week for Labor Day. We're going to work hard. We're going to come together in other ways. And then the following Monday, we'll be back here for our Circle Up event with another great presenter and trainer to speak to you as well. But it's going to be a lot of fun. So before I turn that slide off, because I know somebody said they wanted that, it's 2023supersaturday.com. Let me stop this share. Bring you back here. And I'll just say in conclusion, it is the end of the month. So we have to talk about end of month stuff, right? It's the 28th. We've got a few days left. We have 31 days, thankfully, in August. That's great news. Check your Performance Club points. Everything that we talk about, all of these incentives that I just went over, the one thing I didn't mention was you have to be Performance Club qualified for all of them. I didn't mention it because that's always the case. That will always be the case. You have to Performance Club qualify to qualify for anything. Join us in Montego Bay, Jamaica. Be part of that group of hundreds of us that the company is going to spend millions of dollars to send, all expenses paid, no expenses spared. And you might be saying, well, what do I have to do to qualify? This month, right now, just make sure you're Performance Club qualified. We can talk about all the other stuff, again, like the $5,000 in premium or recruiting some people and helping them get fast start qualified. There's other ways, there's other requirements to join us in one of the categories, but the requirement will never not be Performance Club. So commit to Performance Club. Pick up your Performance Club cash bonuses every month, lead the way, show the way, and go the way, right? As you're going to build a team into the future, You want to build a team while being the person that does the things that you want your team to do. We call that leading by example. Thanks everybody for joining me today. Mr. Parrish, of course, knocked it out of the park, and we're grateful we had him here with us as well. Continue on building your business. Remember that at 9 o'clock Eastern tonight, I will present at agentsofchangezoom.com a complete business overview. So we'll talk about the membership, the company, our flagship products. We'll talk about the compensation plan, and I'll even take a little break so people can sign up so your guests can join you in the business. And then I'm going to come back and do a getting started training for a few minutes just to talk about the best practices to launch your business. Thanks everybody for joining me. Have a great rest of your Monday. Let's finish the month of August strong, and I'll see you tonight on the Business Overview.